Greetings, one and all. Happy Sunday. I just wanted to give you this message that's been on my heart since I have awakened today. And this is a message of love. And this message of love has to do with how we are viewing what love has been. And that everything that is changing on the planet, this love is now transforming us, and it is through the element of water. The element of water. And I say that because I realize what was shown to me by Spirit is that the water element has to do with where we take ourselves deeply through our emotions. And that means through the tears. It means through the sadness. And everything that you have perceived what love has appeared when you were a child. And how love has appeared from what you've seen from the world, you know, with the hatred and the animosity and the separation consciousness and all of that. That's how you've seen love. That's how you view love. And because so much is transmuting out through so many of us that are awakened, and some of you are now awakening, that the way that you've seen love and how you perceive it is frightening for you. So the biggest blocks that has been existing in the world for centuries has been fear. Fear. You say you want to see God. You say you want to see Christ. You say you want to see, but then you're still not looking deep within to feel this love and how it shows up. You see? And so I'm just been guided. My soul is just taking over, and my soul is speaking to you. And that is that you must transform yourselves back to love through the element of water. And that means that if you are going to cry, if you're going to feel, if you're going to be triggered by someone who triggers you because of what shows up as what you've never seen before, because it might hurt, it might be painful. And that's because it's something within you that is coming out. It's coming out. It's processing through you. And this love in and of itself is through the element of feeling through the water. Because you see, every one of us has had to go through the water element. Okay? All of us. We started out as the fish. Okay? The fish, like the tadpole. And we went through the water. You know, when you're in your mother's womb space, you're in the water element. That's where you are. The full moon is in Cancer. The North Node is in Cancer. You can't run away from your feelings and how you're connecting to your feelings and your emotions. So everything how you have perceived love is not what it is. You see? And so for those who are showing up with their love as how they know love is, the truth of love, keep on keeping on. Keep bringing on that love energy. Keep bringing on what you know what love is, that even if no one else has ever seen it, if no one else understands it, don't let it stop you. Because you see, we are showing up as the aspect of this love. We're showing up as the aspect of who the divine is, who God is. And because one has never seen it before, it's frightening. It's frightening. Because to be told that true love is evil and true love is bad is because of the fear surrounding what love is. And that's what has happened before on the planet, where people had their misconceptions about love because of how they see it. And so I tell you that the love is showing up as the divine masculine is risen to his true power. He's rising and rising through the ashes, and it's through the element of water. And so many of you are going to feel yourself crying. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to feel. Keep on moving through this emotion, the emotions that you are having. There's a reason for it, and you can't stop it. Because even myself, I ended up crying through something because of the connection I have to this person that I am in love with. And when you feel that love, you can't stop it. You can't. It's out of control, out of your control. Do you see what I'm saying? And so when you feel this love in your heart, allow it to flow. Be in that flow of love, just like the water, just like the sea. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to give you this message. I already gave part of this in my Facebook, Instagram story. And I just wanted to just come on here and just to give you that message, to allow yourself to feel through this love and to feel through your heart and not just what you see in your mind. Too much has it been the world that people look at someone else and they're not connecting from the heart, and they're not understanding someone from their heart, and only want to base on what they see and what they're perceiving. And it's the perception that comes on through the fear that has caused so much dysfunction and so much killings and so much hatred in the world. If only you would just try to understand and to connect from your heart. If only you would just remember yourselves, just like the children and the little dog that came to me to come and greet me and love me without knowing who I am, without conversation, nothing based on the past, nothing, none of that. Just from the moment that you were created and what love is, and connecting to this, because you see, the way how God is coming through each and every one of us is not based on what you see and how it has been before. It is based on coming back to this purity of love. And this purity of love is not the way that you think that it is. And that everything you've been taught that's been tied to religion, to dogma, to fear, to separation, to looking at someone from the color of their skin and looking at how it appears because of what's, instead of finding out what it is that is coming through from that person and taking the time to just to listen. And I'm not talking listen with your ears. I'm talking listen from your heart. Listen from your heart. But and then when love shows up, everybody runs. They run because of what? Because you're not used to this, because your parents and your parents' parents and your relatives, your friends, anyone you're connected to, they run away from it because they're not used to it. They're not used to it. So I can only say again to let your love shine and allow yourself to feel through the emotions. Feel through your heart to what is really happening now on earth. That everything is going to keep changing rapidly and things are going to be falling apart, that appears as if something's happening to you in a negative way, and it's not. It is for the best for you. This is how the love of Christ shows up. This consciousness is showing up, that it's going to keep permeating through your soul. And because of this full moon in Cancer, which is related to home and family, the North Node in Cancer is what's changing in terms of what we are creating is based on how you're feeling inside and connecting to that in how things are manifesting. And it's not based on what you physically see. And trusting yourself and trusting this knowing in your heart, and that when you're feeling it, it's just like a child coming to you innocently and hugging and feeling with you, and knowing that you're receiving this love not based on a condition, not based on something that someone says how it should be for you. You see? And the more you allow yourself to connect to this, the more you're in this state of surrendering to this love, that even if it doesn't show up the way that you've seen it before, the world will now know what love is, and it's not based on fear. I love you, and I just wanted to give you this message of love, this message of divine love, and allowing yourself to come back to the sea of love and what it really means. I will be back on again, maybe hopefully tomorrow, because I saw Aquaman and I got so many messages of such divine love when it comes to what is changing, when it comes to the masculine energy. And again, Aquaman, you know, I'm an Aquarian, and so even though I'm an air sign, I'm still connected so much to with my divine masculine when it comes to the element of water sign. I have a lot of water in my chart, Pisces all around, okay, Scorpio, my children, Cancer, and everything for me is what's happening that's being redirected and coming together in the physical space with how love is showing up. And as I will continue to show up as love, and I will continue to shine as love, and the love is shining through my heart. It's not shining from my head top. Of course it is, but I'm more specifically speaking about where my heart lies with all of you, and helping you to understand that every time you think about someone that you know that you feel love for and they've pulled away from you, remember that it's a fear that shows up. The fear from past times, the fear of this, the fear of that. Even if someone has done something and they have offended you and something has happened to you from the past and they are changing and transforming, are you willing to remember them and to accept them with unconditional love? Are you willing to get past the barriers to this love? Because for those of you on the twin soul path, the union is about you and everyone and everything that has been a block for you, or a fear that you may have had, or how much resistance you may have felt because you were not trusting. You were not trusting because you're looking at what you visually see. And I say again, think about what's appearing in your reality, the false evidence appearing real to you because of your perception of it. And the highlight of the movie when I saw it yesterday, how the king was able to get the scepter, because no other person was able to get the scepter, was because the creature said no man has ever come to be able to get and live and walk out of there. They all died. And he didn't go there with the intention of trying to have power over anyone. He went in there because his heart was that he wanted to save the people. He wanted to save those who are on the land and those that were in the sea, because you see, because his mother taught him that it's not about separating both of them. It's about what comes into unity. You see, because it exists in both worlds. The spirit world exists. And for those of you who are still in fear of the spirit world, well, guess what? That's where you came from. You are a spiritual being living out a human experience. And so everything is in reverse now, where more things are going to be happening in the spiritual realm, in your supernatural reality, where you're going to see things that you never think you'd see before. You blink of an eye and then it disappears, because the veil is so thin that everything is coming together in unity. In all the galaxies, in all the cosmos, the human brain cannot conceive it and cannot limit it to what this love and how this love is showing up. You see? In a mighty, mighty, powerful way. You see? And so when the king got the scepter, his mother said to him, you're not going in there because you are becoming the true king. She says you're going in as the hero. You see? Because the hero is because he's coming from his heart space. And that's why the divine masculine is rising so much to his power. He's now connected to the heart of God, the heart consciousness of God. Through the emotions, through the feelings, through the water. Returning back to Mother Earth, who's risen, resurrected, and she's giving birth to the Son. This is the Christ consciousness coming through each and every one of us that is truly having to transform more and more. And when he got that scepter and he walked out of there, he became golden. He had on a golden armor. And then everyone who was connecting to him, the words that was spoken that permeated in my soul, he said, the king is risen. The king is risen. He said the king is risen. Those were the words spoken. You can't make this up. And where did it take place? The whole movie took place in where? Atlantis. Atlantis, where everything started from the beginning, where everything was perfect, everything was golden. And what caused the dissension in consciousness is because the abuse of power. And so I'm just gonna leave it there right there, that because I'm just starting out my day, and my heart was just like, I must speak this and must talk about how much what has been the block so much is fear of what you see, fear of what you don't know, because of what comes from ignorance. And ignorance is, they say ignorance is bliss, but I say more ignorance is more that state of when one does not choose to allow themselves to over and inner and understand what is truly happening in your life. Take the time to stop and to feel before you jump into the space of what you see and what you've been taught. And when you do that, you'd be surprised at how much more you bring yourself into greater peace, because you are allowing yourself to not be ignorant. Because as you rise into yourself, into this power, and into this consciousness, what it does is that it allows you to see things from a different perspective, and allows you to see things from a different way. And as you do that, and as you continue to ascending in this type of consciousness, it's like more and more of the veils start to fall, and all the illusions that have been created by mankind is now starting to disappear. And we are now obtaining and stepping into the truer template of the kings and queens that we are. So continue to rise to your power. And the power is not the power of what you're attaining as far as the physical things. I'm not saying you can't manifest that. It's the inner power that I've always stated, the inner power. It is through that inner power that you manifest things with beauty and grace and wonder and amazement and magic and fruition. We are bearing new fruits. It is not the old fruits that has been corrupted for so long. So if you want to take it to scriptures, please make sure, like again, when you rise to a certain level of consciousness, you truly understand what's coming through. But if you allow yourself to stay in that lower state of consciousness, as far as what you've been taught, and not letting go of what you think it may be, and tuning into what's happening now in the present moment, then you shall just stay into that space of unknowing. And then I said this in the book, that for those who choose to continue to be ignorant, it's a choice. And you could either rise up to meet others where they're at, or stay where you're at and you just remain as a dummy. Look up what dummy means. Dummy is when you don't choose to try to find out and try to connect to what's really going on. And researching means that, again, you're feeling what is really happening and how love is showing up for you. So even that big creature that the king, Aquaman, he didn't even have to fight. He didn't even have to fight the creature. You know why he ended up getting the scepter? Man, for boss, this part of the story. He got the scepter because all he did was hold out his hand like this to connect to the creature. And the creature stopped at its point where it was going to kill him and said, wow, you can get the scepter. You know why? Because he said, you're the only one, just like the previous king, that allowed yourself to understand me. That's what the creature said. You understand me, because when he was a little boy, he was taught to connect instead of what he sees. And he was being bullied because he was different. He was being bullied because he wasn't the same like others. And so because you see someone that's different, or because you see someone that's not the same, or because you hear something and then you go run with it now, so you can have someone destroyed because of what you hear about the person, instead of talking to the person and find out what's going on. And these are for those of you who don't understand, those who are on this type of path. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you're going to be seeing other people like Sharon's who are going to be also speaking probably the same thing. And then you may say, oh my gosh, that's what's happening. Okay? And so I say, run with it and see where it takes you. You see? Because again, the whole entire story with this, from what I saw, again, had to do with connecting. That the biggest creature connected to Aquaman to give him the scepter, and he attained his true power, and he attained his throne because he connected from his heart. He connected from his heart. He didn't fight for it either. So that's why I keep telling you, no, this ascension and awakening is not about battles and wars and hurting someone, okay? And because some of you are in fear of what you see, because even though, yes, there are people that are hurting people out there, it's that energy that is showing up and coming through the planet to be seen, so that way it can be transmuted, so we can now live freely on the earth and free to love again without feeling that we're going to be destroyed. And that is the purpose. So think in your heart and souls to how you can continue to transmute love when it shows up in your space, when someone says they hate you, when someone says you're doing all kind of manners of evil, when someone says I want to hang you, when someone says I want to persecute you, prosecute you, when you know you have done no wrong. And know that the glory and the honor that comes from this consciousness is now protecting you, that you no longer have to feel that you will be destroyed again, because that is the promises that is made from God. You see? You do not have to feel that you're alone with this process. You don't have to feel like as if something will happen because you're speaking your truth. Continue to speak your truth. Continue to speak your truth. I love you, and I'm going to leave you, and I'm sending you so much infinite blessings. I will be back on again, because one of the things that I said in my last live showed up in the movie, and I was in awe and amazement. And I'll leave you with where it was, because I'm going to be doing some more channeling and tuning into what more that message is coming from. And it had to do with the ring of fire. The rings of fire, the rings of fire that I saw, it was shown to me because I'm a prophetess. I see things, I foresee, and I have the foresight to what is coming. And so because it showed up in the movie, I knew that it is extremely powerful and potent to do with what is happening right now in this present moment, to do with the ascension of the planet and our connection to Atlantis and Lemuria, and where it plays into our lives, especially for those twin souls that are coming into that union, sacred union space, to the point where it is coming to the physical sacred union space. And this fire, as it was shown to me, is coming from the womb space, because it is through the womb that we are recreating our lives, and it's through the womb that we're recreating all of the elements, the water, the fire, the air, and earth. It's all permeating together all at the same time. And so you think of yourselves as this fire that is within your womb, and how much more things are manifesting and coming into that space of being templated with this, with these energies, and that cycle has now completed itself for those who are at a different, level of their awakening and ascension, and what is happening with your path, that cycle of things that you've had to release, that has been connected to you karmically with you and whoever you are connected to. And when I say karmically, meaning all that karma energy, all this stuff that's been repeating over and over and over again, all of that energy is what has gone through the circle of fire. And that's why when I went outside, as a matter of fact, it's from when I was doing the live, and I saw the circle of fire, and I told, especially for many of you, to go outside, keep doing that, go outside and step onto the ground and connect to Mother Earth, because that circle of fire showed up in the movie. And I took, my spirit said, take the video of it, because I'm not going to wait till when the video comes out to do it, the movie. And it's no coincidence that it showed up in the movie as plain as day, the circle of fire and connecting to Atlantis. And so many of you might be seeing a lot of signs and messages to do with Atlantis. I keep seeing everything to do with Egypt in the most weirdest ways. Everything Egypt, Egyptian. And it's all the energy of everything that's coming online. It's online on a grid, and it has to do with the powers coming back to those who are coming from a space of integrity. From a space of integrity is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your powers coming back and then the same thing starts all over again. And so this is what was shown to me, and I'm going to be doing some more research before it, because I knew I kept seeing it, and I knew that it meant something. And I said, okay, I'm going to do some more research. And I did find a little bit something, and it's connected to the volcanoes and the volcanic activity that's happening around the world. And what was shown to me is that the volcanic activity has to do with the menstrual cycle of Earth. That's what the menstrual cycle is. So you think about when you've had a menstrual cycle for the females, and when you felt that that feels like rumbling, when you're feeling it in your uterus. And so all of that is what's cleansing and also helping to cleanse. So every single female right now on the planet who is going through menstrual cycles, you are helping that part of that process for what is transmuting. Everything that's connected to water, anything that's liquid, water, your emotions, all of this is a part of the process of what we're transmuting. And this is what is assisting for the divine masculine, as far as them connecting to you. And also what was shown to me this morning while I'm brushing my teeth, every time I'm near water, it's like every time I'm near water, I get more messages. And they showed it to me like the fear has been the blocks to many of our connection to true love, and really, really, really letting go of the fears. And then they showed me that the divine masculine is rising so much into his true power, his inner power, and he has to go through his cycle of transformation. And it's through our womb space. It is through our womb space. So the more you rise to your power, and the more you continue to connect to your inner power, and the more you keep speaking your truth and walking your truth, all of this is that energy that's pushing it together. The feminine voice also is the connection. That's why the mermaids are the ones that did the calling, and the mermans, which is what Aquaman is. And many of you are on the twin soul journey. Your divine masculine was a merman, and you are a mermaid. That was where the Lemuria came from, where we came from Lemuria before things descended, and that part of the earth was destroyed, and we fled to Egypt. We went to Egypt. So that's why a lot of the information and the Atlantean knowledge, the knowledge that came from there, was very advanced, and that knowledge in and of itself had to be protected, because it would have been used and abused on others even worse. And so you are going to find yourself connecting to more of that knowledge the more you ascend and the more you release. If you are to cry, then you cry, and just let it out and release it, because it is helping everything to come into that space of you becoming the greater self of who you are. And that's what I know. And so the divine masculine is rising so much to his power. They're showing it to me like the movie The Mummy, when the mummy was the mummy, I think it was the first one, the first mummy, the remake of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, when he was killed, mummified, because he wanted to be with his true love. And so he had to go through the I forgot they call it the Hammersmith curse. And so they buried him, and they put all of the scarabs, on him. And funny enough, I've been seeing a lot of stink bugs just keep coming on me, and that's another element of the scarabs. And so when they did that, he was cursed because of the fact that he did that, and he was cursed and placed in the because he wanted to be with who he loved. And so when he rose from the dead, it was the female. If you remember the character, the female, she was the one that read the inscription. And when she read the inscription, he said, death is only the beginning. So doesn't that make sense? So it's like, in order to come to these new beginnings that's coming up, you must die. You must die 1,000 deaths. You must die and die and die again. And just like the snake shedding the skin, the snake is continuing to shed the skin, because as you're dying, and it's like they're showing me this masculine just rising to his power, and then the element of the things that they wrap the mummy with was just coming off of him, and that's how they're showing it to me, that this death is now the new beginning of this consciousness, and the new beginning of those of us again who are truly connecting to this, because I'm telling you, it's like on and on, like it's just permeating through me to everything that is happening on a cosmic level. It's not even on an earthly level, it's on a cosmic and earthly level. It's like everything is just intertwining, and it's just showing up rapidly in codes and sequences and all of that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, and I send you lots of love and peace, and don't forget to love, and don't forget to cry, because sometimes people say, no, don't cry, no, cry, because as you cry, you are bringing on the energy of what you are transmuting through all the layers that you have accumulated that have been blocks towards your love. That's the whole purpose, because it is through the emotions and the water that we transform. It's just like when you were just from the tadpole to the seed that comes together, you had to transform, and you had to evolve, and you had to be created through that water element when you were in your mother's womb. So it's the same thing, that we are in Mother Earth's womb space, and we're being transformed through the water. So keep taking your sea salt baths, and go by the beach. If you're near the beach, please take advantage of that time frame to go to the beach and allow yourself to be transformed through the water. If you need to cry, keep crying, because you're transmuting again, and you're working through that sacred space, creating sacred alchemy, and it is purifying your soul. So it's not just bathing your skin and your body, but you're also purifying your soul. And through the element of this purification is where you are returning back to pure love. And that's what I was hearing, and that's why I'm giving you this message, which I normally don't do this on a Sunday. so just remember that. And that's the song that came to me, is the Sea of Love. The Sea of Love. How much I love you. Come with me to the sea of love, love. Do you remember when we met? That's the day I knew I won't forget. I wanna tell you how much I love you. Peace and blessings.